So Nick Fuentes has just went scorched earth on a rant that's sending shockwaves through the world, absolutely torturing Marjorie Taylor Greene and her takes on women in politics as well as Republican men. So in this epic new clip, the American First Leader didn't hold back calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene by name as Nick Fuentes demolished the idea that Republican men are the problem while women like Marjorie Taylor Greene are somehow above criticism. So Nick Fuentes laid out into Greene for crashing out on her own party, exposing what he sees as the chaos when emotional women try to lead in politics. So with zero apologies, Nick Fuentes argued that Marjorie Taylor Greene and her recent meltdowns prove exactly why the movement needs strong male leadership instead. So the brutal takedown has Nick Fuentes trending again as fans finally said what everyone was thinking about MTG and the state of the GOP. So here's a rant with Nick Fuentes about Marjorie Taylor Greene as he goes scorched earth on her. Let's get into it.
She comes out with a statement and she says, contrary to this rumor being peddled by Time magazine, I'm not running for president. And she launches into this really ugly rant where she says, why would I run for president? You can't change anything. The system's rigged. She had a really shitty paragraph in there. She goes, why would I go around the country begging for money, sacrificing my health, and having no social life, only to arrive in Washington and not be able to change anything? That's an actual quote from her tweet. She says, why would I go around begging people for money, ruining my health, and not having a personal life? A personal life? You're a congresswoman. What do you mean your personal life? You don't want to run for president and save the country because then you couldn't check out hot new restaurants in Arlington, Virginia? What are you talking about? You're not going to have a personal life? You're a representative in the United States Congress. You're going to sacrifice your health? What does that mean? You're not going to get your 8 hours? So this is my problem with a lot of these people. They're really just not in it. That's what that tells us. If somebody even thinks that in their mind, let alone says it out loud in public, what does that tell you about who that person is? This is a person that goes to rallies and goes to political events and goes to Congress. And she's a crusader, a fighter, a revolutionary. We're fighting for women. We're fighting for America. And then she writes a statement like that. This pissy, bitter, resentful statement where she says, why would I run for president? You can't change anything, and I'm going to sacrifice my personal life. Your personal life? How could you even think that? How could you even think that in your head? I don't have a personal life, and I'm a live streamer. I haven't had a personal life for 10 years, since I was 18 years old in college, and I'm a live streamer because that's the program. When you're in politics, and moreover, when you're in dissident politics, when you're a revolutionary, no, you don't get a personal life at all. You're lucky if you get a family.
I mean, he's absolutely right when it comes down to this. But let's be real, though. Anybody who chooses to go ahead and run for Congress, let's be real, that's when your public life, your personal life is out there, okay? Your personal life can be out there as long as you make sure it's not. But at the same time, I mean, you don't really have much of a personal life, especially those who are behind the scenes going ahead and just try to go ahead and control everything. But as a matter of fact, how many of us actually know anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal life? I mean, how many of us how many of us actually ask about her, her kids, her husbands? Matter of fact, I don't even know how many kids she have. Okay. And quite frankly, I don't care. But at the same time, I don't care about, what she does in the bedroom, what she does in the home, what kind of friends she has, how many friends she has. No one cares about your personal life. Okay. And this is a woman who many are saying has reportedly stating that she's running for Georgia governor. Even then, if you're a politician, You're not gonna have like much of a personal life to keep to yourself, and people won't care about your personal life unless it's morally corrupt or morally reprehensible and stuff. But at the same time, I mean, let's be real. Quitting Congress and everything, and like just go ahead for the sake of your personal life. I mean, that's just a cop out right there. We all know why she's actually resigning from Congress and stuff, because of the fact that she doesn't really care about it, and she saw that she lost support from MAGA and everything. Okay, her base is starting to turn against her as well, and she has few supporters left over also. And let's be real, also that I apologize for constantly saying let's be real so many times, but if you look at it like this, she's definitely someone who basically has or just is just a poser for Make America Great Again. Okay, it's point simple. MAGA saw right through her later on and everything, and they actually started treating her according to the way they saw her. Okay, now they criticized her. They didn't bully her. She just didn't like the words that's being used against her. She doesn't like the attacks that's being held against her. But I mean, let's be real here. She doesn't know how to take criticism, and she hates it.
And even if you do, you don't get to see him all the time. You are committed to the nation. You are committed to the cause. You sort of give yourself to the cause. You, in a way, almost lose your humanity. You identify with the cause. You become the cause. That's what is entailed in all of that. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in politics. Because then you either become a grifter, and you're not really there to make change. You're not really there to shake things up. It's another job. You're getting paid. You do a job. You're told what to do. It's like a or you're enforcer of the status quo, in which case you're like a security guard. You're like a police officer. There's not really a ton of risk involved in that. You're in an oversight capacity. You're kind of keeping an eye on things, drinking your coffee, hanging out. If you are a revolutionary, if you're fighting for America, it's a full-time job. That is a full-time around the clock. There is no, the grind does not stop. She goes, I'm not going to have a personal life. Like I said, to think that in your mind, what about my diet? What about my social life? Then to say that without any conscientiousness of how that comes across or how that sounds, that really shows you what kind of person she is.
I'm sorry. Nick Fuentes has just revealed something right now. Basically, Nick Fuentes has just shown that not only is she a woman, but she's basically a modern woman. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene is, okay? She takes all the problems out there, make it about herself, allegedly. Or, and I may be wrong about that, or maybe it's the fact that, she wants people to care about her feelings and how she feels and everything. I mean, let's be real. We thought that, she was a sojourner, if you will, someone who was actually loyal to the base itself. But no, turns out she just basically flipped the script when she's not being supported. That's what Nick Fuentes has just exposed. Okay, this is what Nick Fuentes is definitely stating, and he's correct on this, But let's be real. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and make things about your feelings and stuff, how you feel, you want people to care about your feelings and everything, then this job is not for you. Okay. As a matter of fact, public life is not for you, because there's a lot of people out here who don't really care about the feelings of others and everything. And, some feelings can be validated, but at the same time, if you make it all about you and stuff, that's where you're going to have a big problem.
I'm not going to have a social life. Seriously? Grow up. What are you, 50? You got grown kids. You're in your second marriage or whatever that is. You're 50. You're in Congress. You're a trust fund kid. Your personal life? Grow up. This is what she says. This was a few days ago. So for all those people that thought she was running for president, no, she's not, because it's too hard. And what about her health and her social life? And you can't change anything. Why bother, she says. Today, she comes out with a new statement. Get a load of this. So Mike Cernovich replies to her on Twitter, and he says, I'm going to read it exactly. He says, you need to serve out your full term. And by the way, I agree with that. You run for office, you need to serve out your term. Unless you're dying, unless there is some debilitating scandal that makes it impossible for you to continue your work, you really need to finish what you started. You don't need to run forever. You don't need to be a career politician, but you need to finish what you started. And by the way, for the House, it's only 2 years. That's not even a long. President's 4, Senate is 6, Supreme Court is for life. 2 years? You can't do 2 years? She's only been there since 2020. She's been in there for. You can do it for another year. She replies to Mike Cernovich's tweet. I'm going to read it for you. This is what she says. So Cerno says, you need to serve out your full term. This is her reply. She quote tweets and says, oh, I haven't suffered enough for you while you post all day behind a screen? Do I have to stay until I'm assassinated like our friend Charlie Kirk? Will that be good enough for you then? Shit posting on the internet all day isn't fighting. Get off your ass and run for Congress. I fought harder than anyone in the real arena, not social media. Put down your little pebbles and put your money where your mouth is. So what's the pitch with a person like this? Vote for me. I'm going to run for office. I'm going to be in Congress. I'm going to fight for Trump. I'm going to fight for America first. Oh, it got a little bit hard. Well, why don't you do it? What is this attitude? What is this? Where is this coming from? Then she doubles down. She quote tweets that. It gets better. She quote tweets her first tweet from her other account, her official congressional account, and then it gets so much better. She writes, typical of Republican men telling a woman to shut up, get back in the kitchen, and fix me something to eat. Is that what he said? Is that what he was saying? You're quitting. You ran for Congress. You said you would fix things, and now you're quitting a year in for no good reason because it got hard. Somebody says, hey, you should really finish what you started. And now she says, you're telling a woman to get back in the kitchen and fix me dinner? What? Is that what he said? What are you talking about? What is that? And where is that coming from now? What, do you hate men now? Typical of Republican men. Are you kidding? It would be bad enough if she said typical of men. Typical of Republican men? Hey, bitch, you're a Republican. Who do you think voted for you? What are you talking about? Typical of Republican men. You're a Republican. You have ran as a Republican and won as a Republican in 2020, 2022, 2024. Who do you think voted for you? That's who you're attacking?
She's definitely attacking the very people who supported her the most, which are men. Okay? And that's something that Greene is going to have to understand and accept, just the same way that women are going to have to accept that, men has built majority of this society, the infrastructure, power grids, so on and so forth. She is going to have to remember that her biggest supporters are, or in this case, possibly were, men. Republican men. Some of them could be even Democrat men who chose to vote Republican, or even men who are independents as well. Okay. And that's where she's going to go ahead and she's going to have to eat crow for, a good while until, if she's forgiven. Okay. Now I'm big on forgiveness, but trust is a whole different thing. I'm not part of her district. I'm not even really supporting her. Okay. But at the same time, if she gets back in the graces of people, she's going to have to go out and not only make an apology to those who supported her, but also do a complete 180. All right. And it's just simple as that, And when it comes down to things like this, let's be real. It's hard to go ahead and win back the trust of the public. She spoke out against men while appearing on The View, for goodness sake. She went on ahead and crashed out on X talking about how bad the men are out there and stuff. And basically, she's hiding behind, being a woman or being a Republican to protect herself, using it as a shield and stuff. But in reality, people actually saw her for who she is, who she really is, and she got called out on it, and she don't like it.
We're going to generalize all Republican, typical of Republican men, to be what? Traditional? First of all, he didn't even say that. He said the opposite. He said, okay, you want to run for Congress and be a politician then. Finish your term. She says it's sexist. We're telling her to get in the kitchen. How does that even, it's literally the opposite. Wouldn't it be a typical chauvinist to say you should resign and get in the kitchen? Not you shouldn't resign, you need to stay in Congress and finish your job? So what is typical then? For us to tell you not to quit? For us to tell you to finish what you started, fulfill your obligations and your responsibilities? So what, we can't tell women what to do? Better yet, we can't tell our congresswomen what to do. A congresswoman is under no obligation to finish her term if she doesn't want to. And if you expect her to, you're a typical sexist. That's just like, that is like a delusional, hateful, sick thing to say. This is a person that's not right in that. For a politician to say that, messed up. And you know what I'm getting? You know what I'm really detecting there? It could be that she's resentful of Trump. Trump really did rug pull her. He really betrayed her. Maybe she's mad at him. She's taking it out on other Republican men. But you know what that sounds like to me? She went on The View and got a warm reception from Whoopi Goldberg and from the women of The View, a very liberal show. And when she started talking about the Epstein files, a lot of liberals that fucking hated her guts a few years ago started to say, why am I agreeing with Marjorie? Why am I agreeing with Marjorie? She seems okay. And you almost have to wonder if Marjorie is looking around and at her new friends and thinking to herself, what am I doing wasting my time being a Republican in Congress? I've been attacked and ridiculed and mocked as a loony hillbilly, as a loony, knuckle-dragging hillbilly Republican for the last 5 years. Why am I doing this? Just to be attacked by Trump, just, for bad things to happen to me? So that almost sounds like there is like a feminist trying to break out here. This is like a serious girl boss syndrome. This is like a girl boss, and really like a liberal contagion. She went on The View and said, oh, I like this. I'm on The View. These women, these liberal women, all conservative women want to be famous. They want to be liberal women, but the liberal women hate them. So they reluctantly have to push the screws, turn the screws on the liberal women. She goes on the show and says, oh, I like how this feels. They're agreeing with me. On The View, this is such a big talk. They all want to be Oprah. They all want to do daytime TV. Now her problem is with Republican men, sexism. Get back in the kitchen, she says. What did
you want to know what's crazy? It's not all Republican men who think that way. There's Republican men out there who believe in 50-50. Okay, now all of them will want to be a provider. A number of them wants to, traditional qualities and everything, but not all of them. Yet she attacked the very ones who not only want traditional values, but she also attacked the men who want to go 50-50, who respect the rights of women and stuff. And, let's make it clear. Nick Fuentes has just definitely exposed Marjorie Taylor Greene, showing who she really is. Basically, Nick Fuentes has shown that Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming off as one of those women who failed to become actual models and decided to become Instagram models. Nick Fuentes exposed Marjorie Taylor Greene as, a woman who was a Republican, but in reality, she wants to be a Democrat and stuff, just for the attention that she got. All right. And the fact of the matter is, Nick Fuentes is definitely spot on with the arguments and this rant that he made. Okay. So let me know your thoughts about this on this, what Nick Fuentes just said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'll see you all in the next one.